Welcome to the XP Guild. I'm Bill. We've got
David.
So we are going to be running our game. We're going to do Umberhaven, 2 rogues. So it's going to be kind of a co-DM slash random roll table thing. 2 kind of thieves that are in the city of Umberhaven, creation of our own design we're still working on. And in fact, we'd love for our viewers to help us flesh that out a little bit. So as we go on, we will be including other ways for people to interact with the show and alter the course of the story and course of the character's development or the world around them. But today, we're going to look into Dave's character. So first, kind of quick overview is this: it's a massive city and there's a thieves guild within. What are we calling it? The Labyrinth?
Yes, it is known as the Labyrinth.
Yeah, the Labyrinth is the Thieves Guild, and we're just 2 very low-level, members of that guild.
First level, to be precise.
Yeah, we're going to start with level number 1. And what class are you thinking of playing here, Dave?
So what I was thinking, we're going to kind of go on a non-traditional bent with this. Normally, like you would say, naturally think of, thieves guild, thieves, so on and so forth. No, we're going to change
rogue,
it up. Yeah, rogues. Sorry. But so I am actually going to go with the Articifer. And one reason why is I was thinking more on the lines of he's going to be kind of an expert with locks and particularly safes, vaults, and those things that hold lots and lots of valuables.
Very nice, which makes sense. Like someone who's more engineering inclined is going to be pretty good with safes and things like that. And what is what's the concept of the background you want to go with the Articifer here?
I mean, we have 2 options that we were thinking about, which because we are both going to be starting from orphanage, which it is called the Safe Harbor Orphanage. And there are 2 options that we were leaning toward was urchin and criminal. I think he got caught. I think he was trying to break into something, and he actually got caught. And maybe that's why he ended up in the orphanage to begin with. So I think we're going to start off with the criminal background.
All right, we know criminal background. All right. And what criminal background gives you as far as tools go, which for anyone who's maybe creating their first D&D character or is still kind of getting used to it, the way I like to do it is you kind of choose the class, but you choose the background. It's going to be one of the earliest decisions you make. It's going to impact. So that is going to give us criminal gives you deception skill and stealth skill. So I like to mark those down now so that when I'm going into my character build of my character class, everything, what they get, I like to already know what skills I'm good at. So the other proficiencies you get as a criminal is thieves tools and
1 type of a gaming set.
Okay, thieves tools. And what sort of gaming set are you thinking? In typical, I think they say these are like kind of gambling gaming sets. So like, I mean, it doesn't have to be, I guess. So they have in D&D, in Dungeons and Dragons, you have like that. Was it 3 ante something? Basically cards or dice or something like that. So
I was actually thinking more of like a puzzle game.
A puzzle game, okay.
Yeah, something that almost like one of those puzzle rings, but it's maybe it's a puzzle box, and something that you have to figure out how to get into to get the special coin or whatever is placed into it or something like that. And then, he's turned it into, naturally a betting game. How many clicks, like the Tootsie Roll Pop thing, how many licks does it take to get to the center? So how many times can you twist it and turn it and whatnot to get to the center of the puzzle box?
I like that kind of could even use that deception towards like making people think that you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like hey, I bet you 5 gold you can't open this or whatever it is. You know, yeah, I like
5
that.
copper. However,
Let's see what else you get. Amongst that is a criminal contact. So I like to go ahead and put that into my features over here so I don't forget about that. Contact. So you have reliable, trustworthy contact as a liaison to a network of other criminals.
So I would assume that I've already been hooked up with the labyrinth already.
Yeah. Well, and I think when we start the game, we'll both be already in the labyrinth. Yeah. So our orphanage days are over.
Oh yeah.
Like we will start. But yeah, you probably were even like as a little child, maybe in the labyrinth, and that's when you got caught at some point.
Well, what I envisioned is that he was living out on the streets, just being an orphan, and he tried to break into a place and he got caught. Well, that caught the eyes of the labyrinth, and that was my first contact. My as far as criminal contact, and of course, naturally because of the laws and whatnot, I got put in the orphanage, but they kept me as contact, and then I can see them using me as a recruiter. In the orphanage, I recruited you into the labyrinth.
Sounds great. I love it. Yeah, I think I'm going to be leaning more towards taking the other path, the urgent path, for the sleight of hand and stealth that they get. Plus, I kind of like the idea of him being this. We'll work on that character at some other point, but him being some sort of like, just grew up on the streets, just kind of making it by, scrapping by. Yeah, it's cool. I love it. So we'll have a criminal contact. It'll probably be whoever's like our boss in the labyrinth, which we'll figure out eventually. But so that's our background features are all set. Now to look at our Articifer features. So let's see. Level 1 Articifer. So a couple other things we can easily fill in here is proficiency bonus is going to be +2, as all level 1 characters are going to be. And now we got to look at our proficiencies. So you're going to get, I go back down here. I bounce around a lot on these sheets, but I find it helps to kind of know a little bit of what you're going to get. So you're going to get light, medium armor, and shield.
And then weapons, simple weapons.
So we're going to get simple weapons, and we're going to get, you actually get thieves tools here. So
yep.
I guess if you wanted to go a different route, you could have, but I think it works unless you decide you want to go. Now, I believe if you get a feature from your background or from this, you can always swap out the background features. So we could pick up something other than thieves tools if you would like as a different proficiency, because you get it in your class automatically.
Yeah, let me
artisan tools. So what I'm just going to put artisan tool for now.
I think okay, so we got artisan tools, or not artisan tools. We got artisan tools, tinker's tools, thieves tools, and we can swap out a thieves tool. So I think maybe he might have. That's a tough decision. I don't, at his level and his background, I don't think he would have learned complicated tool sets. So I'm leaning either for forgery or and I think we're going to go disguise.
Disguise, okay.
Because that would fit with his background and his upbringing and what the labyrinth probably taught him. And also, not to get caught again. So it's a key thing. So
for sure. And then eventually we will have to pick your artisan tool. I don't think, we don't have to do that right this second because double check. I think like a jeweler's kit might be. I think that works as an artisan. Cool. That might be really good for a safe cracker.
It is.
But,
yeah. Yeah. Let's put that actually down as artisan tool, a jeweler's kit.
Okay.
Jeweler's tools, because that would make sense.
Cool.
He would know. He would have to know how to disassemble jewelry, and then pass it on to the
fence or whoever.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So the next thing in our character proficiency thing, and for anyone who is maybe new to this, we're using the Articifer as out of the Eberron Rising from the last war book here from Wizards of the Coast. So this is all officially sanctioned, play-tested material. I have no problem with Unearthed Arcana or anything like that. We just felt this is what fits the character best. So let's see. You get Constitution and Intelligence saving throws. So I marked those down. I wait to put in the things because we haven't figured out our stats yet.
Exactly.
So I just want to make sure that I know what I have for when I do go to fill in those stats. Now, skills. Now, when I build a character, I can go either way. I can either do the stats kind of at this point where I generally have an idea of what the character has, what they can do. They also will tell you in building your character, like the ability scores that you need. I think intelligence is one of the most important for the Articifer, Constitution or dexterity, based on whichever way you would be going. I think dexterity probably because of being like in the Thieves Guild, but
absolutely.
I guess it depends on the level of armor you're looking at wearing. If you're going to be wearing a lot of medium armor, maybe we'll be sacrificing some of the armor bonuses based on your dexterity, but I think it probably will still work out well. Do we want to work on your stats or go on and pick more of your skills? Let's
go pick more of the skills since we've got his background and we've got kind of the direction this particular character is going. I already know what skills I can choose from. Mm-hmm. Since I have to, as Articifer says, choose 2 from Arcana, History, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, Perception, Sleight of Hand. Definitely Sleight of Hand.
That makes sense for sure. If you're a safe cracker, you got to be able to work that safe dial there pretty well.
Yep.
What else looks good to you on there?
Ooh, either I'm leaning toward 3: Perception, Investigation, and Arcana.
Yeah.
So
it's tough. Like in Investigation is intelligence based, which is nice because so is Arcana. So both of those are intelligence based. That's going to be one of your higher stats anyways. That part's good. Investigation tends to be like finding things in a room. So that might be good to find like the safe or whatever. Perception is good for the lookout part of it. And Arcana would be good for if you maybe do a lot of more artifacts that you're stealing out of saves or things like that.
So being first level, I don't think he would even remotely consider going into high-end safes that has that kind of thing in it. So I think we're going to probably stick with Investigation. And then later on, I could possibly take a feat that adds more skills or take something of that nature that then I can pick up the Arcana or even something else, So.
Yeah. And I haven't even figured out my character, so maybe we kind of stack skills a little bit where there's certain things we'll have to kind of double up on, like stealth. It's going to be good for both of us to have, but some of the other skills we can be a little bit more malleable about who gets what. Cool. All right, so there's our skills set up now. I believe we're kind of the best place to move on now would be into your stats, your actual physical description of what your character can do.
Yeah.
So we're going to do race 2 is going to probably be pretty important here since we kind of picked, and that may change, that changes how your stats are allocated. So I do like to pick race before I pick my stats with an idea of where my stats are going to go towards the race. That kind of makes sense.
Absolutely.
So what were you thinking?
I'm leaning toward halfling.
All right. Halfling's awesome. I think we kind of talked about us possibly both playing halflings and kind of keeping that like small little part of the thief mentality in. So there's different types of halflings. There is the Lightfoot halfling. There is the Ghostwise halfling, which has got like some telepathic abilities. That's, I think, from like Sword Coast, or no, that's Ghostwise is in the player's handbook. Okay. Ghostwise halfling, but that's dexterity and wisdom. Stout halfling, which is going to be dexterity and constitution. So the other cool things about halflings are lucky. So you roll a 1, you basically can re-roll a critical fail. Brave, you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. Being the halfling nimbleness, so you can move through a space of any creature that is of a size larger than you. Being small, that's most of them, so that's cool. And then sort of the different stats will give you some different things. Stout has stout resilience, so you have advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance against poison damage. The Lightfoot is going to be dexterity and charisma, and it gets all the above mentioned, except for instead of stout, you get naturally stealthy, and you can attempt to hide even when you are obscured only by a creature that is at least one size larger than you, which, since we're not in a party really, that may not be as helpful. And then the other one I mentioned was Ghostwise, so that's dexterity and wisdom, all the above, except for you get the silent speech, so you can communicate telepathically.
So normally I usually love playing halflings, and I usually love the Lightfoot halfling because it's kind of almost your standard Hobbit-esque.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Halfling. So the way we've got this character designed and stuff like that, I am actually leaning toward the stout halfling because for the sole purpose of that resistance, or that saving the advantage, advantage toward poisons.
Well, and resistance against poison damage as well. So
that's
both
true.
Advantage on and resistance. So, because we had talked a little bit before we started recording, you're thinking more of going the alchemist route
on top of that, yes. In the future,
totally, yeah, which totally would work well. And I think that's important when you're building.
Absolutely. And what's the most common thing to trap a safe with, or a lockbox? Poison, particularly poison needles. So
yeah, I love it. All right, so that's going to give us bonuses to dexterity and constitution. Okay, so you need a good intelligence score. So I think the best you can get, though, to start with is that 15.
So here's the next question. Are we?
Yeah.
Because there is several options that you have as a player that the DM will tell you, or you can communicate with him if you do a session 0, which is kind of what we're doing right now, / character generation, which is point buy, which is Bill was about to go over, or you have your traditional, which is
the
roll
standard array.
Standard array, as well as your the old school, I guess you would call it, is roll 3d6, or you could do 4d6, subtract the lowest one. I personally, every time I've run D&D for eons almost, I've done 4d6, subtract the lowest one. But
all right, let's do it.
The other options are good too. So which option should we go with?
Normally, like if I'm running a D&D game with like a big group of players, I prefer either point buy or standard array, because you tend to get these big swings in the 4d6 drop the lowest, or 3d6, whereas either you get someone who rolls really well and they're just like, oh, I'm so much better at everything than you, or someone that rolls really poorly and it's like, oh, I can't do anything, like I'm so much less efficient. Now, depending on the style of game, that doesn't matter. We're talking about A, less focus on combat.
Yep.
And B, there's only 2 of us. So if we are really good, then that's fine. We're not a 4-party. We got to be able to kind of cover some of the gaps that would be brought up by having a larger party. So yeah, I'd say let's go. Let's do it. Let's roll 46.
Okay.
Drop the lowest. So again, it's just the 2 of us, and we don't need to necessarily have like a cam on your die. So just roll it up. And in fact, why don't you roll, and I will, on the side here, I'll make some notes of your scores.
Excellent.
And then you can plug them in afterwards. So just call out your score as you roll it up.
And as well as to bring up that factor too, is that some DMs will actually want you to just roll it straight down, and other DMs a little bit more generous will actually let you plug it in wherever you want to. And even some DMs, I have been known that you can not only plug it in, but you can move some numbers around too. So there's even those options.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be like, you roll your dice and then you put them where you want them to be, because unless I'm doing 100% random, or if it's like, I don't know what class I want to build, I'm going to roll the dice, take them top down, and whatever class would work best. Like, that's a fun way to play. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But since we kind of have a character idea and all that, it would be a shame for you to get a 8 in your intelligence score and you're the worst Articifer ever. So I'd say just roll them. I'll write them down, and then you can plug them in where you think they fit best.
Fairness. Here we go. First roll of the video. That one's not bad. 16.
16's good. Go ahead and keep rolling. I'll talk a little bit. But as for anyone just starting out a game, the reasons I like either point buy or standard array, you get this average sort of setting. The highest score you're going to get out of that is 15. So starting with a 16 here, that's a good start.
15 for the second roll.
15. So far 10 is like an average human in a setting. So anything above that is good. Anything below that is bad. But that's fun too, to plug in. If you get like an 8 or a 5 or whatever it is you get, sometimes it's fun to role play like, oh, I'm the least social person in the world, or I am the stupidest barbarian in the world. That can be fun to play in.
The third one was 12.
12. Okay. So far, really good.
This one, fourth one is also going to be a 12.
And the average dice on a normal 3d6 roll is about 11. If you just kind of do the math, adding in the 46 and 1, so you're going to average higher than 11 usually.
We're at number 5, right?
Yes.
So the next one is a 15.
All right. So we got super stout halfing right now. So can you keep all positive numbers? Right? Isn't there 6 or is there only 5?
No, there's 6.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, the last chance.
And you had to say that.
I had to. Curse you.
Because I rolled a 9.
Okay, that's cool though. 9 is only a -1 if you don't apply any modifiers to it. So cool. So we have.
And I was officially using.
Yeah, nice.
From way back in 3.5 days.
You know it. Yeah. So he has 116 being the highest he can allocate in, 2 15s, 2 12s, and a 9. So that's a really good starting position for character and their stats. So, given that, where do you want to start? Your best skill? Your worst skill?
Let's start with the worst skill. Since I was caught, I do believe wisdom would be at a 9.
Okay, yeah. So we are not the wisest.
And I didn't learn my lesson because I'm still doing what I was caught with doing. So
for sure. Which even works well because you didn't take perception. So you didn't notice the cops coming up on you.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And you'd even be bad at noticing that. So that's cool. Yeah. So now, what do you want next? We have 2 12s, 2 15s, and a 16 left. And
so I do believe let's do it. I mean, he's short. I mean, he's not going to be like overly like muscle bound. So let's do a 12 in strength.
12 in strength. I think that works well there. So that is going to be a +1. Anyone wondering where this is, there's a chart in the rule book, but it's really easy. 10 is a 0. If you go below that, it's -1 up to 2 levels below if you get to a 7. But then really where you're going to be focusing is at 10, 0. If you get to 12, you get a +1. Every even number, you're going to get another +1. So 12, 14, 16, 18, and caps out at 20. So yeah, we've got a +1 on strength, which still is good for a little halfling.
So I think our next number is 12 again, right?
Yeah, we have another 12 if we're going to go bottom all the way up. Yeah.
I think he is not that great with socializing, but he's decent enough at it. So I think we should plug that 12 into charisma.
So we're going to be a 12 here too. So that's a +1 towards your charisma score. And then we have dexterity, constitution, and intelligence. I think I already know where your 16 is going, but where is the next 15 going to drop?
The next 15, I think intelligence.
Pretty smart. So that's going to fall as a +2 right now, because it didn't hit the 16 mark, which would give you the +3. But now we've got our constitution and our dexterity, both of which are going to get bonuses too.
Absolutely.
So where's the next 15 going to go?
I do believe it will be constitution.
Constitution. So you get a +1 to this, which actually makes it a 16 overall, which is going to jump up to a mighty +3. And last but not least, your 16 score is going to go in here to dexterity, right? Which has a +2 to jump up to the mighty 18, which is going to give you that +4. Now, I know people that put scores in different places. They'll put the big score up top and the pluses below. I've always liked, because it doesn't matter what that number, the big number is when you're playing, you want the modifiers. So I always put the pluses in the big space. But it's all personal preference, whatever flows best for you. At this point, we can then take those stats and plug them into all these areas. So our saving throws, if you aren't proficient in it, you're just going to get, and it's really tiny, so I don't even know if people can see that. You just get your score basically moved over into that spot. But if you have proficiency, like he does with constitution and intelligence, you get to add in your proficiency bonus, which is +2 at level 1. So our constitution bonus for his saving throw is going to be a +5, and his intelligence is going to be a +4. And then wisdom, he's actually going to be really bad at, -1. So let's not run into anything that can control your mind. And charisma is a +1.
No mind flares on the first adventure.
And then you can also go down and fill in all these stats for your skills as well. For quick reference, it's not necessary.
It's really helpful though. So.
But it is helpful. I like it, because then it's like, instead of looking around to multiple spots, you're just looking at the one spot and figuring that out. So we have just moving the stats over, except for where you have proficiency. Remember to add in that +2.
And for those that don't know, it's pretty much it's a D20 plus that number.
Yeah. So it makes, that's why I always put plus or minus. You want to see. So let's see, investigations, intelligence. So we're going to have a +4 there due to your proficiency in it. Not good at medicine, which may be interesting. Nature, perception, we already talked about. It's not great. Performance, persuasion, religion, +2. Sleight of hand. Now this is where you get crazy, +6. Stealth, +6. And survival, -1. So that's a cool little stat. You can see definitely has that, like, I'm a thief or, some sort of stealthy character, because you're getting that +6s here.
And that brings up the fact of that you don't actually need to play the rogue class. I mean, if you pick the right background and have the right stats and design your character, you can be just as much a thief in another class than a standard rogue. There is benefits though for being rogue though. So which we'll
for sure
later.
Yeah.
So
definitely by playing a rogue-like character using a different class, it does hinder you a little bit in certain, your top ends on those aren't quite as high, but sometimes you're rounding out a party. In this case, just fitting the theme that you wanted to do. So absolutely. He has that safecracker image in his head, so that's going to be kind of paramount there.
Absolutely.
All right, so equipment, you start with certain equipment, so you get any 2 simple weapons. So I think where I'm going to put this is just down here. We get 2 simple weapons, so that then you can choose them whenever you want. You get a light crossbow, and I'm just going to put parentheses 20 here because you get 20 bolts for that crossbow. Save the space on your character sheet. You'll need a lot of, and you can get studded leather or scale mail. In this case, I'm assuming we're going to go studded leather.
Absolutely.
So the reason you would go with the lighter armor versus the medium armor, you get a certain value plus up to 2 of your dexterity, but he's got a plus 4 to dexterity. So in fact, taking studded leather, which is only a 12 armor plus your dexterity, that gives him a 16. Scale mail, I believe, starts at 14 plus 2 is 16, so same level, but he's using lighter armor that's not going to hinder his ability to move around quietly.
So I do believe that since he does already have a light crossbow, I do not believe I'm going to take a simple ranged weapon. Instead, I'm going to take 2 simple melee weapons, which for what he is and whatnot, I'm going to take the standard rogue weapon, which is most common throughout gaming, which is dagger.
Okay.
And I'm going to take hand axe. And one reason why I take hand axe is for the simple fact of just in case I can't get into that lock, I'm just going to hack through it. So, cool. Or at least hack around the lock through the wood to get into it.
Also, I think starting as a criminal, you also get other equipment which we didn't add in before.
We did not. I can go over that. I can read it off to you right now. I get a crowbar, which is mighty useful. Also with the hand axe, you can turn it over on the backside and use it to pound in the crowbar if you need.
There you go.
A set of dark common clothes, including a hood and a belt pouch. And a belt pouch containing 15 gold pieces.
Okay, so then there's actually a money area on here. So it's just a matter of seeing the really small print on this character sheet to put in 15 so that you know. That's what you got. Cool.
And that is, as far as money-wise, that's up to the DM and the setting. I mean, the standard is gold. But I've personally run settings where gold was extremely rare and copper was the common coinage. So, and I've been in other games where gold was copper basically. So yeah, it really depends on your DM and how he likes to run his games.
For sure. I tend to stick with the standard, what is in the book, just to help drop the confusion level. But when I make a setting, I tend to make all sorts of crazy other things that people have to try to remember. And I think as a DM, keeping that down just a smidge is going to help with that.
And especially starting out with new players. Once everybody gets in the swing of things, then you can go off on the deep end, as I like to call it.
Oh, definitely. So I think here, the next part would just be fill out the rest of your character stuff that you get from your class. So here you get magical tinkering. And this is a lot, so I'm not sure how much you want to put on your character sheet, but you can use your tools to touch a tiny non-magical object as an action and give it one of these properties. So I would usually write as action, give one of following.
So since the majority of the games that I've been playing are online, what I like to do is have my character sheet as is like that, and then have either a cheat sheet off the side that has all the technical stuff on it, or actually have a tab open on my browser that has all that information. So, and
there's many online tools too. There's D&D and Beyond. There's other online character sheets. I'm just currently, this is the Wizards of the Coast form fillable PDF for your character sheet. So once you do this, you can print it out. I believe you can even save them, download it, save it. I think if you were going to save it, you should download it to your computer first. Of course, I didn't do that here, but I'm going to print it and Dave can get the copy of it, and he can deal with however he wants to keep track of it on his end. But just because I had everything running, I figured out how to run it.
And I've actually used this character sheet with the present campaign that Bill is running. And what you do is very simple. If you haven't ever used a form fillable character sheet before, is you just fill it in, and if you need to change anything, you just simply change it. And when you push save, you can rewrite over your present character. It's really, really simple.
And it's good, I think, when you start. It's easier sometimes to use this sort of character sheet than some of the online tools or some of the more complex. Like I use a tool on my phone that has all the classes and stuff worked into there, but there's some back end work to get that to integrate properly. It's a little bit more of a higher complexity level thing, and sometimes even has me frustrated with the program. D&D Beyond is great because you can access it from anywhere. You can do things on there. Not sponsored by D&D Beyond yet, but that's a great system. So whatever works for you.
Yeah, just choose on what you like the best, really. And suggestion is try all of it at first. I mean, get your hands in there, because that's the best way to do things. Just make characters. I mean, just see how the mechanics work, and learn the different character classes and races and skills and the way the book is formatted. I mean, that's the main thing that threw me off when I first dwelled into 5th edition, because I was used to 2nd edition. I was used to, 3.5 and editions even before 2nd editions. And it is a lot different than, those editions. So... But if you're new starting out, then it won't be so complex. Or something you're never used to because you never did get used to anything. So, but yeah, D&D Beyond is a great tool if you're going to get into online stuff. I will warn you that if you're going to buy the book physically, you buy the book physically, but when you get on D&D Beyond, they're not going to have all that stuff. So you've got to buy the book again in D&D Beyond. So it's kind of a win-lose situation. If you're strapped for cash, then you've got to make a decision. If you're not, then do both, or choose on which one that you like the best, really. But learning it this way, D&D Beyond is going to be so much easier to do once you get the basics down.
I think if I were just if there was a D&D 6th edition come out, I think I would probably go D&D Beyond full bore. Like if I were not in the game yet and someone goes, hey, we'd like you to play. And of course, I think in that case, right, someone's got a book. Someone's got to have the player's handbook physically there. But you could show up, D&D Beyond has stuff on your phone, on your tablets, on your laptop. Like you can do it on all those, and it integrates and cross platforms. So that's the route I think I would go if I had just started. Unfortunately, for some of us, we'd already been playing for a few years with several books in, and money doesn't grow on trees for either one of us. So it's one of those things where all right, we're going to wait. We're going to buy the books physically, although you have some of the D&D Beyond material, so there's that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's really your preference. I mean, really, and
they do have free stuff you can do on D&D Beyond. So I'd almost say if you are just getting into it and you're trying to figure it all out, then you could get a free form fillable thing on the computer like I did for this. You could start a D&D Beyond thing, make a basic character that's integrated. They won't give you access to some of the expanded books and stuff, but the basic player's handbook, a lot of that stuff's in there. Now, so start there. I mean, that's where you're going to start anyways. If you're building a new character, you're not going to probably want to start with an Articifer. It's a little bit more complex, a little bit weirder of a class to deal with. But it would be a nice place. You start on there. You play one of the very awesome classes that you can get access to from the start, and then once you decide, okay, I really like using D&D Beyond, that makes my life easy, cool. Or, I don't like having to deal with the computer program, I'd rather just pen and pencil it. That's certainly viable.
And the advantage, unlike when I first started out, there is so much cool stuff out there now. I mean, from custom designed character sheets to really neat looking pencils that look like arrows to dice galore. I mean, you've got a plethora of awesome merchandise to choose from and accessories. So,
So I went ahead, as we were kind of talking a little bit slowly, added in all these effects of magical tinkering in as small of a quick type as I could make it. This is a thing that I think I would rather have on like a cheat sheet printed out card, because there's quite a bit of things and I really cut out a lot of the verbiage in here. So this would be for me more of like a, hey, I've got this ability, it can do these kind of things. You probably go look in your book once you actually want to use it. But your first level things, you get magical tinkering and you get spellcast. So at first level, you get cantrips. Cantrips are easily cast, don't require much energy, so they're basically, you can do them as many times as you like in a given day without having to rest or recover from it. So you're going to get 2 from the Articifer spell list.
Presently looking at the spell list now.
Yeah.
I do believe I'm going to start with Mage Hand.
Mage Hand, that's a very cool. Now let me go down now, because a lot of these are going to have multiple sheets, and this one does as well, where you can type in your cantrips here in Mage Hand, which is one of my favorite cantrips because it's just fun to be able to like manipulate an object. And I think for a thief, that's awesome. Like, oh, I'm gonna.
As the spell reads, a spectral floating hand appears at a point you choose within range. The hand lasts for the duration or until you dismiss it as an action. The hand vanishes if it is ever more than 30 feet away from you, or if you cast this spell again. You can use your action to control the hand. You can use the hand to manipulate an object, open an unlocked door or container, stow or retrieve an item from an open container, or pour the contents out of a vial. You can move the hand up to 30 feet each time you use it. The hand, however, cannot attack, activate magical items, or carry more than 10 pounds.
Yeah, definitely a cool little like thief ability to just be able to like send out the spectral hand to pick something up and manipulate or help you out.
And I think I'm looking at the spell list for Articifer. I do believe I'm going to go with Message.
Message, that's a cool one too. Definitely thief-like.
And since I know I'm going to have a partner in crime,
that helps too, yeah.
So Message reads, you point your finger toward a creature within range and whisper a message. The target, in quotes, and only the target, hears the message and can reply in a whisper that only you can hear. You can cast the spell through solid objects if you are familiar with the target and know it is beyond the barrier. Magical silence, 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood block the spell. The spell doesn't have to follow a straight line and can travel freely around corners or through openings.
Nice little like walkie-talkie like spell sort of thing. Can
that
send
way,
some info.
Absolutely, and that way I can keep in constant communication with my traveling companion.
Cool thing about Articifer is they prepare spells like a cleric would. So you can change up the prepared spells you use every time you go out. So this one, it's kind of up to you how you want to normally do it. I tend to pick a core set of spells that I think are going to be my go-to, and unless something changes, I just leave it at that. And then if it changes, then I'll alter it later. And you get to learn as an Articifer your intelligence modifier plus half your Articifer level rounded down, but to a minimum of 1. So I believe in this case, that means that at level 1, half is half, but to the minimum of 1. So I would say you get the 1 plus your intelligence modifier,
so
giving you
2
3 spells.
Oh, 3 spells. Okay.
That's the way I would do it. It is a little bit weirdly worded, and I'd have to look that up for specifics, whether you would count because you have, a 2 to your intelligence, and your level is 1, half rounded down 0, so you still get 2. But I think because it says minimum of 1 there, I think you still get 1 plus your intelligence.
Indeed.
Most of the other classes tend to at least have 1 plus your intelligence or whatever.
So the very first spell I'm going to choose from the list of first level spells for Articifer is Cure Wounds.
Cure Wounds, nice.
A creature you touch regains a number of hit points equal to 1d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. This spell has no effect on undead or construct. At higher levels, it increases. The second level, or not the second level, but the second spell I'm using is Detect Magic. For the duration, you sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of you. If you sense magic in this way, you can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, and you learn its school of magic, if any. The spell can penetrate most barriers, but is blocked by 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt. And my last one is going to be Identify.
Once you find those magical items, you're going to want to know what you have before moving on.
Exactly. You choose 1 object that you must touch throughout the casting of the spell. If it is a magic item or some other magic imbued object, you learn its properties and how to use them, whether it requires attunement to use, and how many charges it has, if any. You learn whether any spells are affecting the item and what they are. If the item was created by a spell, you learn which spell created it. If you instead touch a creature throughout the casting, you learn what spells, if any, are currently affecting it.
Very cool. Now, none of your spells currently require a spell save DC, but I always fill this in as well. So your spell casting modifier is your ability is intelligence, your spell save DC, which is always equal to 8, plus your proficiency modifier, plus your spell casting ability modifier, so which would give us a total of 12. I think this is important to kind of determine the spells you get as well. Early on in low levels, I have a hard time taking a lot of save spells. Like, it's good to have them because there's times when it's like, okay, that guy's really hard to hit. He's got a lot of armor, he's got whatever, or I have disadvantage for some reason. I'm going to cast a spell that requires the DM to roll a save. But if you're like this, early level, you need a 12. It's really easy for that to fail. I'd rather focus on my ability to actually succeed versus the DM's ability to fail, if that kind of makes sense. But it all depends on what you are into, how you roll, how your DM rolls. Maybe that's a meta you take into effect. I've known people who roll awful, so having the spell saves in their character build means that it's less them having to roll good and more hoping the DM can roll bad. So
for sure,
other things to factor in. I mean, and at this point, we basically have a workable character. There are some things you'd want to fill in. Having age, height, weight, looks, all that stuff's good for the role-playing aspect. Having some sort of background idea, maybe a sketch of your character, a Hero Forge mock-up of your character is a good way to go too early on. Gets you like a very nice detail, especially now with the color option they have on there. Not sponsored by Hero Forge yet. But yeah, then you just need a name and then pick your traits. I think we'll leave this for Dave to do kind of in a more lengthy decision of things. Oh, I guess we didn't plug in armor, which is let's do that really quick. Studded leather is 12 plus your dexterity, which gives you a 16 armor class. Your initiative is your dexterity modifier, so you're gonna get a +4. Halflings, so our speed is gonna be 25 there. Hit points for a Articifer is 8 plus your constitution modifier, so you're gonna start with 11 as your maximum hit points. Then you can fill in like the damage type and everything of your weapons. I don't think we need to go into all that right now. But eventually, when we're launching the full game and you see it, probably go through a little bit of the character traits and the flaws and the looks and the quirks and the name, and that hasn't been set in stone yet. But here we have the level 1 character Dave's going to be playing in our setting here, which is going to be fun. So Umberhaven game will be coming soon. Stay tuned to that. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Tell a friend, pass the word. We are the XP Guild. We'll have some more videos soon, some over Umberhaven, some over other things. We're going to have some like character build videos. We're going to have general D&D talk, other role-playing game talk on my other channel, The Heroically Inclined. I run my Ivory Order game set in my system. That's about almost all that's on that channel right now. But I'm going to be bringing some of the stuff I would have been doing there, and we're going to do it here. We're going to have some great content for you guys. So stay tuned. Thank you very much.